morning, race fans, and welcome back to the Metro Ford Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. Today, we find ourselves at the virtual Kansas Speedway, guaranteed to be another good one in the early Sunday morning Metro Ford Cup Series. As always, I'm your host, James E. Spring, the Action 1080p, 60 frames a second. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, guaranteed to be another good night, as right now, single-car qualifying is underway. And Greg McDaniel is sitting in the top spot in the number 30 machine. Let's see, Kevin Strandberg in the 58 making his way out on track. Now this race here today slotted for 160 laps, 0 fast repairs, and a maximum of 7 incident points available for these drivers to use throughout the run. So gonna be interesting to see how this one shakes up, if this is gonna be some green flag racing, or are we gonna see some early cautions here this evening. MacArthur moves up the standings to second in the number 83 machine with a 31.31, still 600ths of a second off of McDaniel, who's definitely found some pace. Strandberg, who's on camera, has moved up to 12th. Let's see if he can squeeze down that 31.42. Yes, he does, a 31.42, moving up to 9th. Like Andrew Hess in the 54 machine rolling his way out. Now, last week, Hess picked up a second in the 54 behind Dwayne MacArthur. So he's getting some momentum built up late in the season. He's going to stride climb in the standings. His opening lap at a 31.62. It's a long way to go to a 31.25 owned by McDaniel, who set a blistering pace here. Most of the field in the 31.3s in qualifying within the top 7. You've got guys such as Dan Hill, Tom Ogle out on track, Josh Robinson rolling out for his qualifying. Those are a few fast guys with Team Yada who always put down a good qualifying runs. Hess with a 31.41 will settle for 10th. Let's check in on Robinson in the number 23 Ford Mustang. Opening lap of 31.48 still. Will anybody able to dethrone McDaniel here in the number 30 machine? Only seeing 2 rookie drivers in the triple digits here tonight. Daryl Weininger in the 106, Jeff Miller in the 108. Will be carrying the torch for our new drivers. Robinson with a 31.31 will very narrowly edge out MacArthur, but still Greg McDaniel, Dan Hill, the 2 fastest cars. I believe, yes, we get confirmation. McDaniel will set the pace here to open things up at Kansas. That will be the very first pole out of Greg McDaniel this season. He will have to be somebody we keep an eye on here tonight. Well, let's go ahead and run through tonight's grid. Starting on pole for the first time this season, Greg McDaniel in the 30. Dan Hill in the 10 starts second. Josh Robinson starting third. Wayne MacArthur starting 4th. Trace Brown starting 5th. Joey Buscemi starting 6th. Lloyd Moore 7th on the grid. Michael Watts starting 8th. Robert Garisco starting 9th. Patrick Milligan starting 10th. Tom Ogle starting 11th. Andrew Hess starting 12th. You've got Kevin Strandberg starting 13th. Lee Warsdell starting 14th. Brian Lindsay 15th on the grid. Jonathan Green starting 16th. Michael Dow starting 17th. Mike Schrader starting 18th. Joe Brown starting 19th. Chris Clark starting 20th. Larry Corey starting 21st. Dean Gear 22nd. Rick Nitt starting 23rd. Ken Huff 24th. Then rounding out the field, we've got Daryl Weininger in the 106 starting 25th, and Jeff Miller will be starting 26th. That is your starting lineup for today's main event. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering for. A lot of the drivers will have this broadcast pulled up on a separate screen, phone, or monitor listening in, or watching it back afterwards, and they always appreciate the fans coming out cheering them on. On a few drivers to make their way out. I think it's Ken Huff in the 46, the only driver we're waiting on to make his way out onto the grid. All right, waiting for our iRacing safety car to make its way down pit road. Greg McDaniel, Dan Hill on the front row. Robinson, MacArthur, your second row. Buscemi and Brown, your third row. Pace car is in. And let's go racing here at Kansas for round 13 of the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series. Our leaders charge into turn one. McDaniel way up high. Dan Hill's down low. And it looks like early on, Robinson's taking a peek on the inside as well, trying to get around Hill. Not quite able to do so. You're on board with your race leader, the KimBull.net sponsor Chevrolet of Greg McDaniel. Get the first lap led here, but look at this. Dan Hill is in hot pursuit, the number 10 machine. KimBull.net, one of our supporting sponsors here of the Metro Ford Cup Series. And great to see the advertising really paying off here as he runs the top spot. Now, we were aware after talking to some of the drivers, they really preferred the high line here at Kansas. You can see McDaniel running it way up alongside the wall. Hill following his line. Robinson in third seems to be following a little bit more inside line here. It's going to be interesting to see how the tire strategy will pan out. Here expecting the fuel window to open up on lap 55 and close on 65. Take a nice wide angle shot there. You can see the top three, McDaniel, Hill, Robinson. Real close together, a bit of a breakaway from MacArthur in fourth. But let's talk about Michael Watts, your current race leader. Again, the KimBull.net sponsored Chevrolet number 30 machine. His highest finish so far this season was a pair of sevens. Once at Chicagoland, once last week at Darlington. And a fairly consistent top 10 finisher when he can avoid any sort of controversy out on track, but he's only led laps at Talladega back on April 24th. You remember, we saw number 30 machine have the lead for about 4 laps, so he's already improving those statistics quite rapidly. As McDaniel, Hill, Robinson have started to break away just about 9/10, but let's go a little bit further back where things are getting a little bit dicey. Ogle, Buscemi, Watts, Brown all in the mix. Ogle in the number 11 machine has gained 6 spots so far. You can see him in the bright pink White Claw. Seltzer, number 11 on the inside line, slotting up in front of Watts in the 84. No, excuse me, Buscemi in the 56. That will make Ogle, our hard charger so far of the night, up 6 spots. As for the most part, the field seems pretty relaxed, pretty single file until you go back to your race leaders, where Robinson's putting some pressure on Hill for the second place spot. As McDaniel keeps flicking off laps out front. Here comes Robinson up the inside line of Hill into 3 and 4. Looks like he's going to have that pass made nice and clean here at Kansas. Pretty happy with the line he's running thus far. But you've got to keep an eye out on Robinson. He's got short run pace, but he's got unmatched long run potential. As the laps click off, the tire wear gets worse and worse for all drivers involved. That's where Robinson seems to climb through the field. Let's pan the camera backward. Things are a little bit heated just inside the top 10. Patrick Milligan up 1 spot. Number 18 machine looks to be charging forward towards Michael Watts and Joey Buscemi. We go 2 wide, 2 deep from 6th place to 10th. Ahead of them, that's Strandberg and Buscemi with some side-by-side action. Strandberg on the high line, Buscemi down low, but I don't think Milligan's going to be slowing down the charge here. That will make Strandberg in the 58 our hard charger. He's up 7 spots, tying with Ogle. MacArthur has fallen back to 5th after starting in the 4th place spot. A little uncharacteristic out of the fast Canadian. I'm wondering if he's working some sort of strategy early on into this event. As up front, I think the battle for the lead's starting to happen here 12 laps in. McDaniel and Robinson have a 1.4 second breakaway from Dan Hill. Got something going on towards the back as well. Oh, it's just a meat grinder out here. This is from about 9th to 14th place, drivers dicing around. Saw Robinson gliding up the inside line of McDaniel, looking like he's going to take over the race lead here. Will McDaniel let him go, where he's going to keep putting the pressure on the outside line? Lee Warsdale has come down pit road, the 99 machine. I wonder if he's got some damage. As we continue watching the drag race between McDaniel and Robinson. Now, the longer these two stay side by side, the more opportunity it will give for someone like Ogle, who's 1.6 seconds back, but up 8 spots. A chance to start charging forward. Looks like Robinson's going to tuck in behind McDaniel here. racing all across the track. You've got the two-car battle up front between McDaniel and Robinson. And further back, things still heated. We're watching Robert Garisco. In front of him is Milligan and Buscemi going side by side. Looked like Ogle in the pink machine got a little bit dangerously close to the wall there. "16 laps in, the lap times have already dropped off by about a second for most of these drivers. The race tonight scheduled for just about an hour and a half, barring any cautions. But so far, the drivers have been doing a great job, not making too many risky moves here. As you watch Buscemi trying to challenge back with Milligan's 18 machine. Two Fords going at it in the battle for 7th. As Greg McDaniel, your race leader, continues to charge forward. He's put about another 0.3 of a second over Robinson. After they traded blows a few times between lap 14 and 16. Looked like Robinson was trying very hard to get the race lead. Maybe fell back to build up some momentum here. Now McDaniel staying glued to the high side. No sign of trying anything different. Robinson's been kind of running more of a swooping line through 1 and 2, 3 and 4. See Robinson way down low here in the 23, drifts up high. Watch Robinson through 1 and 2, way down low, not quite all the way down the apron. Then swings out to try and carry as much momentum as he can. McDaniel's consistently running the high line all the way through. I've got to wonder which of these two drivers are using up a little bit more tire wear to make that line happen. I would think it would be McDaniel in the number 30 machine having to try and hold the car down as it wants to drift high. Meanwhile, Robinson kind of letting the car run wide by itself as he apexes way down tight. Very shortly, your race leader is going to have some traffic to contend with for the first time tonight. Probably catching them through the tri-oval, if not maybe 1 and 2. McDaniel, the first time this season, having an absolute dominant run out of the number 30 machine. Coming into tonight, he's only led 4 laps. So far, he's going to be destroying the former statistic. But what's going to happen here as they catch up to the back of Ken Huff in the 46 Chevrolet. Now, lap traffic has been instructed to go low here at Kansas, if they can. Robinson's been running that inside line for the duration of the event, so now he's kind of in uncharted territory for the 23. Stays linked up with McDaniel. Both top 2 drivers able to put Huff down a lap nice and clean here. We're about halfway done to the first fuel stop, planned fuel stop for these drivers. McDaniel and Robinson in a class of their own, 1.8 seconds ahead of Ogle in the bright pink White Claw Seltzerbacks number 11. But Robinson showing that he wants that race lead here. He's back to that inside line, trying to see what it can happen. McDaniel's still running high. McDaniel in the black, yellow, and white 30. Robinson in the black and baby blue number 23 machine. Looks like Robinson's starting to find some pace here. I can't tell if he's getting off the corner slightly better. Or maybe McDaniel trying to do something to diamond that corner a little bit. What a great shot here at Kansas. Showing the differing lines of what these drivers can do. And what they're having to do to navigate the raceway. Top speeds hit about 190 miles an hour here tonight. This is with your race leaders, not even in a draft really. They've been side by side or looking for different openings the last few laps. And if McDaniel can carry that pace, that line, and manage the tires, he's looking good here. Robinson just not finding a clean opportunity to pass that he was really searching for. Robinson once again looking inside. The drivers told us just how tough it was going to be to make any passes here. I think we're seeing that played out live between McDaniel and Robinson. Now behind them, Ogle has found a little bit of a time. He's dropped about a tenth of a second to your race leader, but still 1.7 seconds back is where Ogle is. Robinson getting tighter and tighter to the apron, trying to make something happen. Not quite able to do it as McDaniel pulls about 2/10 down the backstretch. The momentum, I guess, is just so important out here tonight. This may very well be a game of tire management here tonight. 30 laps in. That time by McDaniel with a 32.55. Robinson with a 32.62. A little bit further back where we still got some action going on. Green and Watts side by side being chased by Brown in the 45. A gaggle of Fords in the mix here. No, that's going to be Green and Brown side by side. Brown not having the night he was looking for with tire management. He's down 10 spots. Green will take the lead of this small pack as he runs 13th in the 37 machine. He's about 1 second back from Brian Lindsay in the 24. As it looks like our current hard charger though, Kevin Strandberg in the 58 machine. He is up 9 positions, now running 4th on the track. You can see Dwayne MacArthur right behind him in the Bass Pro back number 83 machine. But it's a 1.6 second disadvantage that Strandberg finds himself from a podium spot as he's got Ogle in the number 11 machine still charging forward. Ogle up 11 spots, so having a decent evening himself. I'm very surprised just how the field is stretched out here. But I think the longer the laps click off here, you can see drivers such as Andrew Hess in the 54 start to make some moves forward. As this is where the guys with the tire management really shine every Sunday morning at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Let's go back up front, checking in on Greg McDaniel. You can still see Robinson absolutely stalking the number 30 machine. It has not been more than a quarter of a second separating these drivers for just about every lap here. Robinson staying committed to the inside line. But will we see something happen? McDaniel holding an advantage through 1 and 2 and still pulls a little bit of ground on Robinson. The momentum just so incredibly important here tonight. Looks like the track may be fairly single-lined. Robinson staying right there on McDaniel, less than a couple of tenths. And look at this, Tom Ogle on the number 11 machine starting to close the gap here. The more that we see Robinson take those jabs at McDaniel, slightly slowing down the race pace, is the more opportunities for the bright pink number 11 to make his way up towards the front. Now Mike Schrader has come down pit road for a green flag stop in the number 4 machine. So far, it's just Lee Warsdale and Schrader who have decided to come down pit road. Warsdale came in on lap 11. I think he has some sort of issue and some damage to repair. As up front, McDaniel and Robinson still side by side, allowing Tom Ogle to keep closing the gap. As Robinson really putting the pressure on your race leader side by side through the tri-oval. Ogle's got to be happy the gap's closed to a half second for the bright pink 11. Very shortly, if McDaniel and Robinson keep battling like this, it's going to make it a 3-car battle for the lead. Over 1.5 seconds slower are most of the drivers with the tire wear compared to their fastest laps in the race. And now Ogle has caught the draft. Will we see a 3-car battle for the lead? Or is Ogle going to link up with his teammate Robinson here and try to help push that 23 machine out up front? This has changed very drastically in the last few laps of what the front landscape was looking like as far as the standings go. Chris Clark down pit road for his first scheduled stop of the night. Robinson still putting the pressure on McDaniel, still committed to the inside line. What line are we going to see Ogle taking the 11? Will he lend his support to his teammate? Will he sit resoundingly in the middle, it looks like. Here comes Robinson up the inside line. McDaniel shows as your race leader by 0.03 of a second at the line. Too wide into 1 and 2. Robinson takes over the lead. McDaniel answers back on the high line. And it looks like McDaniel's still able to pull about a 1/10 of a second coming out of 2. Just a little bit more momentum. So I think if Robinson's going to try and make something happen here, is he's going to really throw it in deep on the inside line and see if maybe he can slot up in front of McDaniel. And will his teammate Ogle be able to help him out at all? Maybe give him a push where he needs it the most? But even Ogle is about a 1/4 of a second back from the teammate Robinson. So this is going to be interesting to see how this progresses. And this could very well be a sign of how things will go late in the race once we've completed our stops for the evening. Now, I would wager that your top 3 here are going to stretch the fuel run out as long as they can. We're expecting that window to open on 55, close on 65. Looking like it's going to be a 2-stop race, barring any sort of cautions. Miller, Gear, completing their pit stops, getting back out on track. As it looks like Ogle trying to make some moves here as well to climb up towards the front. Not quite sure where he's going to go. As we've seen how tough it's been for Robinson to make a move on your race leader McDaniel. So I'm assuming it's going to be equally tough, if not harder, for Ogle to make a move, as he's got even less open lines available to him here. Here's the 3-car battle for the lead. It's McDaniel, Robinson, Ogle. They've got a little bit of traffic ahead of them with Dean Gear in the 92 machine. Or are these drivers going to make any moves? They're going to play it safe, take it easy, and just get through the first fuel run, measuring each other up. Because to give McDaniel his credit, he's been up on the high line for the entire duration of this event. And Robinson looking at the inside line. Still McDaniel at the line by 1/100 of a second. But it looks like Ogle trying to give a push to his teammate there. McDaniel still on the high side. Robinson looking down low. Ogle kind of running a lane, on maybe half a lane off the inside apron. Trying something different. As now it looks like Ogle's going to go along the right-hand side of his teammate Robinson. Maybe he's going to try the high line and report back to the crew and see if it's working well for him. As Ogle has taken over second place, he's now up 9 positions. Michael Watts comes down pit road for a green flag stop. As it looks like Robinson's going to come down as well. Robinson going for an undercut on lap 50. 51, I should say. And now Ogle's looking for a lap lead. He's going down the inside line of McDaniel. Will he get clear here coming out of 2? Not quite. Yep, there he goes. Tom Ogle takes over the race lead from McDaniel. This is a sign that maybe McDaniel, the number 30 machine, will be coming down pit road. I think he is. Yes, McDaniel comes down pit road. MacArthur will follow suit. Ogle stays out, getting some laps led in the number 11 machine. As we'll pull up the live timing tower on the left side of your screen so you can see where your favorite driver is during these green flag stops. So interesting to see some different pit strategy at play. I think what Robinson was doing, saying, hey, I think I've got the pace. Let's come down pit road, maybe a lap early, get some clean track, and see what we can do. As now Ogle comes down pit road, Milligan and Hess stay out. They'll be your race leader. Milligan getting credit with the lap led. And still side by side goes Hess and Milligan, both looking for the points for leading a lap here at Kansas. Little bit of traffic behind him. I think that may be Buscemi in the 56. No, it is not. I'm trying to get eyes on who that is unlapping themselves here. Or is that Joe Brown? Yes, it is Brown in the 21 machine after his lap 51 pit stop. Charging forward, your top 8 drivers still out on their original sets of tires. As it looks like Robinson, number 23 machine, sets the fastest lap of the race on fresh rubber. A 31.43 for the number 23 machine. I think this is the track position we were talking about. He wants to get out front of McDaniel because we know just how tough it is to pass. Milligan comes down pit road. The track position may be king here. But I believe our next fuel window pit cycle, we're going to see drivers coming in around lap 100 to 110. I think will be the magic number here, as Milligan and Lindsay are on pit road. Still now is the top 6 drivers opting to stay out as long as they can. Try something different on pit strategy. So Hess, Moore, Hill, Garisco, Buscemi, and Nitz all opting to stay out as long as they possibly can. Hess has about a 3-second advantage over Moore. Briscoe's come down pit road in the 28. After staying out a long time, 60 laps in the original tank. There's Robinson getting a lap back in the 23 machine over his teammate Hess in the 54. So Hess down pit road, Buscemi follows suit, Moore and Hill. 2 of 3 drivers opting to stay out as long as they possibly can. Rick Nitz in the 35 machine, he's running 6th on the track, has also opted to stay out. this will be interesting to see Lloyd Moore enjoying the limelight in the 26 machine, but looks like he's going to signal he's coming down pit road. Dan Hill stays out in the number 10 machine. Now Hill qualified second here tonight. So technically up one spot, but he is one of two drivers who has yet to come down pit road here at Kansas. You can see the traffic with fresh tires underneath them start to blitz by. There's Milligan, the number 18 machine. Hill comes down pit road. So I believe that's going to put Robinson as your race leader, and he's going to have a 3-second gap over McDaniel as McDaniel finds himself tied up in a battle with Ogle. So this will be the battle for the second place spot, as all but one driver, Rick Nitz, has come down pit road for their first scheduled stop of the night. Nitz also followed suit, coming down pit road on lap 64. That's about the most we've seen somebody stretch it out here. The new running order is going to be Robinson, McDaniel, Ogle, MacArthur, Strandberg, your top 5. Robinson with a very comfortable 3-second gap. This is where he's dangerous, where he's able to put down those fast laps over a run and really stretch his legs. Behind him, I think Ogle's going to settle in behind McDaniel. Those two drivers have been fairly happy running the high line. They've got a little bit of traffic behind them. It's going to increase the drafting power of those top 3 drivers. Ogle looks for some clean air on the inside line. Ken Huff in the 46 machine coming down pit road. Off cycle with the rest of the field. Looks like McDaniel stretching his legs slightly over Ogle, building up about a 3/10 advantage. But if we go back to Robinson, your race leader, he's got a little bit of traffic to contend with. That's Buscemi and the 56 machine. Buscemi trying to get a lap back. He came in a lap 60 compared to Robinson's lap 51 stop. So about 9 lap fresher tires in the way of the 56. Robinson clicking it off, 2.5 seconds ahead of McDaniel. Now McDaniel's been finding some time here. If you remember, after those pit stops are completed, McDaniel's at a 3-second disadvantage. But McDaniel still down on the low line. Excuse me, McDaniel running the high line while Robinson running that tighter inside line. It seems to be working well for him. But how will it affect the long run speed? But most importantly, Robinson has that relatively clean track position, so incredibly tough to make any big moves here at Kansas. As he comes up to the back of Robert Garisco in the 28. Garisco looks like he's going to go high here. And Robinson will use that draft. Garisco almost in the wall there. Robinson in a dangerous spot. He wants to get by the 28 as fast as he can. Because if Garisco does have a bit of a bobble, any sort of mistake and tags that outside line, it's a quick way to bounce back into your race leader, Robinson. Robinson making it through, but that's allowed Greg McDaniel to pull down that distance now to less than 2 seconds to your race leader. But as I say that, McDaniel has pressure from behind with Tom Ogle. Now the field very spread out here for the most part. Your race leader Robinson 2 seconds, 2.1 seconds ahead of McDaniel. McDaniel though, as Ogle still breathing down his neck. As Ogle is up 8 spots tonight. I'm trying to see if that makes it a hard charger. No, it's going to be Dean Gear, and the 92 machine is up 9 positions. Will keep the pressure on McDaniel, or is he going to maybe try the same strategy that Robinson did early, a bit of an undercut? With how just important track position has been here. As it stands with Robinson still leading the charge, we've got 14 drivers on the lead lap, but I think that's going to dwindle here. As Dean Gear in the sights of your race leader, I believe that's Michael Dow ahead as well. Let's see what Robinson's going to be able to do here. Gear goes low, Robinson stays high. Robinson about a tenth slower than his lap prior there. He did 32.5, and that last time by a 32.6. Maybe the traffic slowing him down ever so slightly here. Trying to see who the 94 machine is. That number on the live standings. I think it might be Michael Dow. Yeah, lifetime is showing him as the 60, the 94 on the car, so probably the wrong transponder thrown in. As we are at the halfway mark, slightly past the halfway mark in today's main event. The opening half, it was Greg McDaniel getting most of the laps led here. But right now, it's the Josh Robinson show in the 23, clicking it off, making it look easy. We have whittled it down to just 12 drivers on the lead lap. A little bit further back, Dwayne MacArthur having a bit of a battle for fourth with Patrick Milligan as we briefly go 3 wide with traffic. That was the 35 machine of Rick Nix hugging the inside line, not wanting to get tied up in that one. And that may have allowed MacArthur just the slightest bit of breakaway from Milligan. As it looks like Chris Clark coming down pit road for a late stop on lap 86. That'll be his second stop of the evening. Jeff Miller's going to follow suit in the 108, but I think Jeff Miller had some problems there as he shows with an off track. Let's see what happened to the rookie in the 108 machine. Missed it by that much. Thankfully, no caution. Well off the racing surface there. As Robinson still has a bunch of traffic ahead. 2.4 seconds, though, ahead of McDaniel in second. And McDaniel has Ogle about 4/10 behind him. But let's go back. The battle for the fourth still heating up between Milligan and MacArthur. Milligan hitting MacArthur with a bit of a slide job there, slotting up, securing the spot. Good to see old friends and good competitors still going at it. 90 laps in. We've got just shy of 70 laps left to go for this main event. And it looks like a very busy raceway. Now, we don't have too many battles going on out on track. You've got McDaniel and Ogle within a half second. Milligan and MacArthur right at a quarter of a second. Watts and Lindsay having a battle for 11th by about a quarter of a second, but the track looks so busy because you've got so many lap drivers kind of intertwined in the mix here as we go back to Brian Lindsay, Michael Watts. Lindsay about just at a quarter of a second behind Watts in the 84 machine in the battle for third. As Watts continues to stretch his gap. How many drivers in the lead lap? Just 10 at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, somebody gets all sorts of loose coming out of, I believe that was 2. So what's going to happen here late in the run is you will start to see drivers getting a little bit tight, tagging that outside wall, and then pogoing back across the raceway. Handle some admin stuff over on the YouTube side, getting that fixed. Robinson continuing to charge forward without any issues. Meanwhile, it looks like Strandberg in the 58 is caught up to the tail end of MacArthur in the 83. Oh, but a big blink out of Strandberg at a very inopportune time. That is the last thing you want to see when you're in a battle for the top 5, especially side by side with competition. Nobody knows where you're going to reappear at. MacArthur way up high. Looks like Strandberg's going to follow suit. MacArthur still holding on to 5th place, but ever so slightly as Strandberg putting the pressure on. Meanwhile, Andrew Hess in the 50-point machine also rolling up as well. Oh, here comes Strandberg looking up the inside line of MacArthur in the battle for 5th. This is probably the closest battle you have out on track right now, as we've got about 58 laps left to go. Strandberg keeps taking peeks to the inside line of the Canadian 83. Greg McDaniel, the number 30 machine, maybe it's his turn as he goes for a bit of an undercut. Robinson, Ogle down pit road. Following McDaniel's same move, MacArthur goes down pit road. Milligan, Strandberg, Hess will be your new top 3 as they opt to stay out. Strandberg comes down pit road. Milligan and Hess staying out. Milligan 1.8 seconds ahead of Hess. And he will get his first laps led here at Kansas. So now as the pit cycle is starting to shape out, it shows 4 drivers on the lead lap. Milligan, Hess, Hill, Moore all came around between lap 56 and 63 here. Buscemi in the 56 down pit road. Now this should be the final planned stop for these drivers. I believe after the pit cycle finishes up, Robinson will still be the race leader here. I believe 4.3 seconds ahead of McDaniel, if I'm looking at that right. Robinson looks to be getting his lap back here in the 23 machine against Milligan. But when are we going to see that number 18 machine come down pit road for his final stop of the evening? Planned stop, I should say. It's never too late in a race to have a late race caution to throw a monkey wrench in all the drivers' plans. As now Kevin Strandberg has set the fastest lap of the race, a 31.38 out of the 58 machine, finding some momentum coming out after his lap 104 pit stop. And knowing not a lot of time left to make any big moves. But Milligan inside the top 4. He came in on lap 56, so he will have to be the first driver that has to come down pit road out of those who are trying to stretch it to the limit here. As I say that, Dan Hill running third, the number 10 machine comes down pit road on lap 110. Allowing Lloyd Moore to slot up into third, but Andrew Hess came to lap 60, Lloyd Moore on lap 62. How much benefit will they have from staying out very late in the fuel run as guys like Robinson, McDaniel, Ogle really putting down some lap times here. Milligan down pit road, Hess stays out. Moyer down pit road. So now it's going to put Hess, Robinson, McDaniel as your top 3, but Hess will have to come down pit road, I believe, within the next 7 laps, or he will find that 54 machine sputtering in a very precarious spot. I will be extremely impressed if the drivers can make this thing green all the way out till the end. We went 114 laps green so far. Let's see if they can squeeze off another 45. Here's Ogle, the number 11 machine, running fourth, trying to unlap himself from Hess in the 54. "45 laps left to go for our competitors." I believe most of the drivers that came in on the lap after lap 102, 103 should be clear and good to make it till the end. As we saw a couple of long 60, 64 lap fuel runs out of these drivers. Ogle has unlapped himself. So Hess, the lone driver out front after his lap 60 pit stop, gonna run it to the empty mark on the tank. While most drivers have been looking at different undercuts. Hess charging forward, 23 seconds ahead of Robinson in second. Robinson almost 8 seconds over Greg McDaniel. But we know Hess is going to have to come down pit road. As it looks like MacArthur still has Kevin Strandberg right behind him as well. 100 and just about 20 laps in, these two drivers haven't been able to get away from each other. Now MacArthur started this race fourth, I believe if he can hold off Stramberg, he will finish in the exact same spot. As we know, Andrew Hess, your race leader, still has to come down pit road once more. There's no way he can save that much fuel here. As we say that, Hess, your race leader, down pit road. That's going to put Robinson as your new race leader. And let's go back up front. Greg McDaniel, Tom Ogle battling for second. 9 seconds, though, behind your race leader, Robinson, who's got to be feeling good, building up some momentum late into the season. As Ogle, I mean, it's so tough for these drivers to make any big moves. And this will be the battle for second as Robinson continues to charge out front. Robinson with a lap 103 pit stop. McDaniel lap 102, Ogle lap 103. Daniel holding on to it. Meanwhile, right behind them, it looks like MacArthur and Stramberg having their own two-car show. You've got the battle for second out on track between McDaniel and Ogle. You've also got the battle for fourth between MacArthur and Stramberg. As unless something wild happens here, I think Robinson's looking good to continue charging towards the front, not having any issues. Now coming into tonight, Robinson second in points, 56 back from the 83 of Dwayne MacArthur. And as you'll all remember, last week it was MacArthur picking up the win at Darlington. The week before that, it was Robinson at Dover. So Robinson having a late start to the season, but starting to get it dialed in as the season progresses. And he is doing so in a commanding manner. 10 seconds now up over Greg As we check in on the 23 machine, only 6 drivers out on the lead lap here. And we've got just over 30 laps left to go. Jeff Miller down pit road, Larry Corey down pit road late for the race, 30 laps left to go. Robinson continuing to cut through traffic here. Again, only 6 drivers on the lead lap. We pan back, that's McDaniel and Ogle a quarter of a second apart in the battle for second. You can see the additional racing stripes added to the right side of the number 30 Chevrolet. McDaniel was our pole setter tonight, but he's looking for his first podium of the season here. Again, coming into tonight, his highest finished was a 7th here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. But McDaniel still inside the top 10 in points, has been very consistent with his 10 starts. 5 of those were top 10s. His average finished just about 13th, so if he can squeeze off a second here, that could be the fire, the confidence number 30 machine of Greg McDaniel needs to keep going forward. Now we had a good point. Keep an eye out for Andrew Hess in the 54 machine. He's got fresher tires, about 20 lap newer tires than most of the field here. With 26 laps left to go, he's up 6 spots. Off strategy from everybody else. He opted to stay out very late in the opening 2 runs. About 60 laps each is kind of the average he put on a fuel run. And now he's catching up to Dwayne MacArthur in 5th. Kevin Strandberg's worked his way into 4th. But this could be a storyline in progress. This will be interesting to see with 20 lap fresher tires. And you make this more of a multi-groove track, as most of the guys have been either dedicated to high line, or in the case of Robinson, diamonding the corners, running that low line before drifting out. Now Hess is about 15 seconds back from your race leader. And he ran an identical time to Robinson his last time by, so it'll be interesting to see how this one pans out, as it is currently the battle for 5th out on track between MacArthur and Andrew Hess on screen. There's Strandberg ahead in the 58 machine. But one thing's for certain, it's been tough for anybody to make any big moves here. MacArthur in 5th knows that he's trying to salvage as many points as he can to keep that current points lead over guys such as Robinson. But Hess has other plans as he's peeking inside, outside, looking for a way through. Now Hess is 5th in points here as well. Hess, one of those drivers, has been looking for that first win all season long. He's got a pair of seconds, a few fourths, a top 5 very consistently. But with an average finish of about 11th place, Hess is trying to figure out how to avoid that bad luck over the duration of the season. As now with MacArthur feeling the pressure from behind him, has started to work his way back onto the gearbox of Kevin Strandberg. The back bumper, I should say, in these NASCAR machines, as here comes MacArthur around the outside. He'll have it by less than 1/100th of a second at the line over Strandberg, but Strandberg running the inside line, gonna try and answer back through 1 and 2. And this will bode well for Andrew Hess, as those two drivers in front of him punching a massive hole through the air. It is now a 3-car battle for 4th. MacArthur has taken over the position in which he has started. Strandberg drops back to 5th, still up 8 positions though, having a solid night. And we're all watching with bated breath to see if Hess is going to be able to pull anything off here, as he does have those fresher tires underneath him, but he's spending so much time battling right here within the top 5. It's going to be very tough to make anything happen. And here's the battle for 5th. Andrew Hess still putting the pressure on Strandberg. Looking to the inside line, but it seems like drivers run that middle to high groove, just able to carry just a little bit more momentum. Strandberg down, wheels almost on the white line to try and make the track just a little bit smaller as they're side by side through 1 and 2. So this has allowed MacArthur to pull about a 9/10 gap over Andrew Hess. Up front, Robinson has a 12, it's called a 13-second lead over McDaniel. And McDaniel still has his hands full with Tom Ogle. Let's pan back up front and see what's going on there. There's McDaniel in the 30, Ogle on the inside line, the number 11 machine. Will McDaniel be able to pick up his first podium of the season? Now, barring any massive mistakes between himself, McDaniel in the 30, and Ogle in the 11, it should be feasible, as MacArthur is about a second back from Ogle. "13 laps left to go. McDaniel's put a second gap on Ogle. Now Ogle has company. Here comes Dwayne MacArthur looking for a late race podium pass. And MacArthur looking to make it into the top 3, working the outside line against Ogle. And it looks like he'll make the pass nice and clean, up one spot from where he started. So just like that, with 12 laps left to go, the scenery inside the top 3 changing slightly. Now MacArthur's still about 1.25 seconds back from McDaniel. As we get ready to go, 10 laps left to go, will the 83 machine continue the charge, or is that just about all the tire it's got underneath it? Robinson out front's got a little bit of traffic to contend with, but I think he's well and used to it by this point of the race. We still have 23 drivers out on track. It looks like Joe Brown, Lee Warsdale, and Mike Schrader, the 3 drivers who sent it back to the virtual hauler early on this evening. Robinson cutting through traffic, 8 laps left to go, a 13, almost a 14-second advantage over McDaniel. But now McDaniel may have company as MacArthur has closed the gap to 0.7 of a second. A lot of fans rooting for McDaniel to get that first podium in the number 30. As he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. He was about 2 tenths slower than McDaniel MacArthur that last time by. Not sure how much of that could be attributed to traffic. As there's Andrew Hess in the 54 machines, worked his way up into 4th as well around his teammate Ogle. Here we go, the battle for second, 5 laps left to go. McDaniel way up high, here comes MacArthur to slot into second. Oh, McDaniel trying to fight for dear life here because he knows if he loses that second place spot to MacArthur, Andrew Hess ready to take advantage of, well, those fresh tires. Oh, and it's a 3-car battle for second. MacArthur, McDaniel, Hess, all in the mix here. As McDaniel and MacArthur side by side through 1 and 2, they've got traffic ahead. Andrew Hess looking for a way through in the 54 machine as the 30 and the 83 continue their side by side run here. 3 laps left to go. What started off as a rough, long run race. Here we go, 3 wide for second. Andrew Hess has made a 2-for-1 pass, taking over second place with 3 laps left to go. MacArthur now third, McDaniel fourth. We're about to see some last-ditch driving for some of these guys to make some moves. MacArthur into the outside wall. McDaniel checks up there to avoid getting to the back of the 83 machine. You can tell just how hard MacArthur is pushing here with that massive mistake. That may allow Hess to get away free and clean here. 2 laps left to go. McDaniel fighting so hard for his first podium finish. McDaniel came in lap 102. MacArthur on lap 103. But Hess playing the gamble, who came in lap 119, seems to be going well for him. White flag is out for your race leader, Josh Robinson. As it looks like McDaniel's going to have to settle for a career best 4th here. As Robinson makes his way around for the final time, the checkered flag is out here at Kansas. And Robinson picking up the win. And it's going to be Andrew Hess, I believe, bringing home second. And Dwayne MacArthur will round out the top 3. What great racing there at the end. A final bit of fury from our drivers. Our drivers get their beautiful photos taken. Having a bit of problems there. Here we go. It's Robinson, Hess, MacArthur, your top 3. And now Robinson's gonna burn it down for the fans at home, making it his 3rd win of the season. We're going to start getting our drivers up here to victory lane for their podium speeches. Up first, we're going to have Dwayne MacArthur, the number 83 machine. Dwayne up 1 spot, and it looked like it was going to be a final shootout. I mean, did you ever expect the final 4 laps of this long race were going to be so important?
Nope, not really. I didn't actually expect to be up there. I realized pretty late that I was under driving, so tried to make a late charge and definitely got exciting at the end.
Now, Dwayne, I mean, What makes this track so tough to make any moves on? I mean, it seemed like it was pulling teeth for anybody to try and get around their competitors.
Yeah, it's just if you guard the high side, the guy on the bottom has to really control his run off the corner. It takes a long time to get by. And most people know that they can defend up high. So the bottom guy just doesn't get the same kind of run. So that definitely makes it hard.
I guess, Wayne, my final question for you. We saw, it looked like a little bit of a tail tap there, I think, coming out of two, and it looked like that car did its best to try and fight you all the way down the inside track. So how white knuckle of a ride was that for you?
Are you talking right there at the end of the race?
Yeah, it looked like I saw a pretty good tail tap against the wall. I'm not sure if it's the quarter panel or what, but it almost got very exciting very quickly for you and McDaniel.
Yeah, I did my very best to run out of talent and wreck myself. I'm surprised I didn't. I just missed. It just slid up on exit, and I just kept my foot in it, and thank God I saved it, and I didn't wreck anybody else. But certainly, I wasn't intending to do that.
Well, it looked exciting. Well, Dwayne, who do you want to give a shout to that helped you get out here inside the top three tonight?
Yeah, no, just a shout out to my team. They're always a lot of help, bouncing ideas off of each other and working on things throughout the week. All the admins that run this league, our sponsors, Metro Ford Chicago, Victory Lane Sports, and Kimball. Couldn't do it without them. And then obviously everybody else who comes out here makes it a great place to race every week and throughout the week in the other series. And I did make a mistake last week, and I need to make up for it. I did. It was Mother's Day, and I did not thank all the mothers. So thank you to all the mothers out there. We literally couldn't be here without you. So, and then thanks to you, James.
Oh, always my pleasure, Dwayne. Good time talking to you. Congratulations on the third tonight.
You bet. Thanks, James.
Thank you, sir. That was Dwayne MacArthur finishing third. Up next, Andrew Hess, who had the pit strategy dialed in here in the 54 machine. Hess, welcome back up inside the booth, my friend.
Starting to get used to this. I don't know what's going on.
I know it's crazy, but I mean, at what point were you at all confident in that strategy, or were you kind of white knuckling, thinking, "Oh, I made a mistake," and then things magically started to happen in the last 5 or 6 laps?
A little bit of both. I know I didn't have the speed. It didn't seem like on just on the short run at all. So I was just trying to play the long game, and then I figured it was the best way to at least try to get chunks, and then C's kind of parted there at the end.
Yeah, up 10 spots, a good night all the way around. Now, were you at all fearful that the caution was going to kind of throw all that work out for nothing, or were you feeling pretty good after seeing the opening 120 laps green all the way through?
I felt confident once we got through that first pit cycle that we were going to go caution free. That's kind of usually we get all those wrecks early or something, or you don't get any, and then once you don't get any, then it's pretty much green and go.
Well, Hess, good time talking to you. Up second week in a row with a top two finish and extending those points. I think you're going to be moving up here from that fifth place spot you're in. So, all in all, a fantastic couple weeks. And who do you want to give a shout to that helped you get up here tonight?
I want to give a shout out to Ogle Spambot that jumped in the chat there, and actually, OBRL does a great job with the league, so they deserve all the credit for clean racing and you for the great broadcast as always.
Well, thank you, my friend. Couldn't do without you, and good to have you back up here for the second week in a row.
Thanks, bud.
That was Andrew Hess finishing in the second place spot. But up next, Josh Robinson, the man of the hour, picking up the third win of the season and a very clean run out there tonight.
Hey, James, how's it going?
Good, my friend. A lot of fun watching you guys race, and it looked like pit strategy was kind of king for you to get that I guess that clean air. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It looked like you had the pace behind McDaniel, but just so tough to make any moves here.
No, that's exactly right. It's Greg and I were pretty equal in that first run, and both of our cars were clean, and it just you could pull up alongside one beside them down low, but man, it is hard to make that pass when someone's running as strong up top as he was.
Yeah, we saw you. I mean, pretty much the duration of the race, stay committed to that inside line, kind of diamonding the corners ever so slightly. And It doesn't seem like you got off that line unless you were navigating traffic. So are you pretty happy with how that line was working for you, or do you kind of wish you were more of a topside guy throughout that race?
Coming into the race, I really thought I was going to run the high side, and then full props to Ogle. He told me and was showing me that low line and that corner entry, and that was definitely the difference for me.
Well, it seemed like it worked well. How was the tire management over that run as well? Able to keep it way down low? Were you worried you were going to scrub off more tire holding it down low, or was it a pretty happy medium as far as tire wear went?
It was a pretty happy medium. I think if you didn't have a car directly in front of you running the same line, you could get that fresh air, and that helped immensely. Uh, so when I was able to short pit Greg and get into that clean air, it seemed like that was probably the biggest difference of the race.
Well, glad it worked out well for you. Good having you back up on top, and always a lot of fun watching you run, especially over the green flag runs. And you've got the final distinction, the privilege, the pleasure, my friend, of the send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped you get in the top spot?
Thanks, James. Shout out to the League of Men's. They do a lot for this league, and then to the sponsors. We couldn't do it without Patrick's continuous sponsorship for the league, and then the new guys we picked up this year, in Victor Lane and Greg over at Kimball. And then props to my team again, specifically Tom on that one. It's always good to bounce strategies off of those guys.
Awesome. Great job out there, my friend. The points chase getting even tighter, and looking forward to seeing what you and the team can do later on this season.
Thanks, James. Appreciate the broadcast.
Thank you as always. That was Josh Robinson in the top spot, picking up the win here tonight at Kansas. Great racing all the way around with Josh Robinson, Andrew Hess, and Dwayne MacArthur rounding out the top three. And special mention to Greg McDaniel finishing fourth, his best season finish so far, the number 30 machine. As always, on behalf of OldBastardsRacing.com, Metro Ford Cup, Victory Lane Sports, as well as Kimball.net. Thank you all so much for tuning in, spending a Sunday afternoon with us, and we look forward to having you back same time, same place next week. Have a great day, everybody.